Yo, if I stink, my bad, yo.
I don't smell you yet.
Just in case.
But in general, I did think the same thing that y'all were thinking about, like, yo, they're clashing. They're not touching.
Yeah.
Right? And then I remembered you had your thought process about, is he utilizing his own haki or is it limited? So I was thinking, is this Rocks' haki being pushed out through Emu in the Domi Reversi, or is it completely neutralized and it's all just Emu's haki? And I was questioning which is a scarier proposition to deal with. Because as far as haki goes, Emu seems to be up there as far as the top tier. But like at the same time, we saw Rocks doing crazy stuff. So I was like, would it be better if Emu can amplify Rocks' already existing haki capabilities, or would it be more terrifying to have to deal with Emu's already top tier haki? Yeah. Or is there a way that we can make both the thing? So I was like, I don't know what the answer to that yet is.
I saw some of those things too.
But it is different though, because like he overtakes Gunko and Saturn. He's not overtaking Rocks.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Emu's haki being released through Rocks, I don't think that's a possibility. But I think that he's puppeting Rocks and using whatever Conqueror's haki he may have, but it's not at Rocks' arsenal. It's kind of like it's just leaking out, but he's not controlling it or utilizing it or even getting stronger with it. But it's like Rocks doesn't even have the decision to do something like that.
Yeah.
So he can't even output an attack as his final attack and tire himself out to the point he can't get up anymore. That's what I was trying to say last episode, is that Rocks is incapable of using the fullest extent of his haki the way he wants to, and he's not able to get stronger with his haki the way he wants to because he's not in control of it. And like people were saying I was being a hater, but I'm like, this is what Katakuri was explaining to Luffy about observation haki. If you're not calm, you're not able to use it to its fullest extent. Katakuri also explained that, you know what I'm saying? So it's like Rayleigh has also explained this. You have to be able to realize what's what. And that's even happened with Hyoguro when he talked about Rio and how to utilize it with outward emission in order to hit somebody from the inside, or inward emission. If you're not capable of maintaining it or utilizing it in a certain way, you're just not as strong.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. So he's basically using his haki, but he's just attacking without utilizing it.
Relatively mindless. Like
Yeah. Important part is the point that you pointed out. When he haki hardened his hand, that was him using armament haki for the first time. Other than that, it was just Supreme Conqueror's haki.
Yeah.
Then he added armament, and that's when they blew back. But even then, that's just basic armament, right? So it's like you gotta be able to control outward emission and inward emission, because that's when it's like level 2. That's the advanced forms of armament. You get what I'm saying?
No, yeah, because Lawrence brought up a point, but there's 2 instances where somebody was getting their haki drawn out of their will. Emma to Zoro, when Emma made Zoro use haki out of nowhere, and Zoro said give it back.
Yeah.
And Lawrence brought up Joba to Luffy. When Luffy went awakening, Luffy started just bursting out haki, and he didn't realize he was like doing, like he was just, his awakening was making him use haki out of nowhere. So that's what was making a reference to, like, it's their own haki and it's strong, but they're not controlling it. It's just being let out spontaneously out of nowhere. And that's the same with Rocks. Like, Rocks not controlling it. Emu's like using his haki constantly, laying it out. Armament Conquerors, and that's making it like, it just bursts of haki randomly moments. And that's what they're facing.
I know this sounds like glazing, man, and I hate to say this because people know how big of a fan I am, but I don't think this is the strongest Rocks we're seeing.
Okay.
I just don't. Like, I think physically, his physical attributes, for sure. But I think the haki aspect is greatly being manipulated. It's undoubtedly being manipulated. If you can't utilize your haki, bro, you're weaker. That's just how it goes.
I can agree with it's not, how do I say this? I agree that it's very possible that he's not capable of utilizing his own haki, which would innately make you weaker in the general scope of One Piece. But if it is being like a conduit for Emu's haki is, I would say, surpasses Rox's. You know what I mean? So it's like that with the physical buffs would still make him stronger than Rocks can. Like, put it this way, you're under the belief that Rocks alone would be able to defeat this Rocks.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I don't.
For sure.
I don't.
You know what the problem
I don't know
is?
that.
You know what the problem is with what you just said? I already stated that I don't think that, again, this is just me leaning toward greater evidence through just, simple, like, logic, that Emu can't necessarily use their haki through a person unless they're possessing the person directly, such as Saturn and Gunko, where Domi Reversi is just them being turned into their own beings and focusing on the evil aspects of their own selves, right? And then haki is being exerted from themselves because Emu's not possessing them. So that's the variable. It's the possession aspect. So that immediately says that Rocks' haki is being used. Now, in terms of how Rocks is supposed to utilize analyze the Haki or just use the Haki in general, he can't use it because that makes him innately weaker. So it's just spilling out.
It wouldn't a typical sense. You know what I'm saying? But in this case, where Haki's being utilized in some way, if it is Emu's, then again, he's just a stronger Haki user than Rocks is.
But
you know what I mean?
So I don't think it's
like even
Emu's.
if it's not the peak of Emu's Haki capabilities, like it's stronger than what Rocks has shown.
Yeah.
To this point, I would say, like he's knocking Roger and Gart back. Granted, he knocked Harold back.
So
but, you know what I'm
so
saying?
let me take this turn. I think I should do it a little differently. Rocks ended up fighting his family. They were all Domi Reversi. But do you think that they were using Emu's Haki, or were they capable of using Haki at all?
I don't know.
Okay, so
probably yeah.
So you could say yes, or you could say no. Rocks took them out. So it just proved that Rocks' Haki was stronger than whatever Domi Reversi Emu was at that point, and that doesn't make sense to me. Because then it's supposed to be, I see Emu touch Rocks, and when he does, Rocks resists, and then Emu uses their Haki to overturn him during that moment. So I already know that Emu's Haki is stronger than Rox's.
What I mean by that is, or at least what I gather from that, is the host base strength matters. Domi Reversi Dory or Domi Reversi Bragi is stronger than random fodder Giant, just off the base that they're a stronger person with a stronger will, etc. So you gain more from Domi reversing a Rocks character than you would from Domi reversing any random character. So like, if there is a benefit to Domi reversing a stronger person with stronger Haki, it implies that even their Haki is either being buffed or they're being able to tap into Emu's Haki at a level that the other people just wouldn't be able to. I don't know if that even makes sense, but you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I'm a Haki master, when you take over my body, now that I have this generalized skill set to utilize Haki in a way that this other person couldn't, I can manipulate the Haki you're now bestowing upon me through the Domi Reversi better than the other person would. I hope I'm making sense when I say that.
No, you are.
Yeah.
I think the only variable that you're really pulling out is that Emu can push a person's Haki into a certain category when they weren't capable of before. But for me, when Rocks dominated his family and they were all Domi Reversi'd and they were all defeated, it didn't matter what possession, what Domi Reversi Haki was given to that person, because ultimately they fell to Rocks. So even Emu Domi Reversi, somebody with a higher capability of Haki, I don't think necessarily they get boosted. I just think that it's not more likely that that person's being boosted Haki-wise because they're also not in control of their own will. Like, for instance, right now, Rocks is literally having a discussion with these two gentlemen about taking him out. So already his will itself is being manipulated by Emu, granted, which makes it where Rocks can't fully be willful during these moments. So his will is already compromised. The only thing is, if Emu is hijacking this Haki that Rocks has, even then he's utilizing it in a very wrongful way. Like, he's clashing with people. He's not using it where he's sending sword blasts. Overall, it's just being mismanaged.
Right.
So if it's being mismanaged, it's not being used to its fullest capability.
I can agree with that. I mean, like Lionel pointed out, we don't get to see the whole fight, but I can agree with that.
Yeah.
He's not fighting to his capability, but I still think it's a stronger version of him just fighting wrong, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he definitely gets a boost in overall strength and overall power.
Yeah.
It's just like he can't tap into utilizing this buff in a way that he would if he was of his own mind.
Yeah.
Which, like you said, that makes you innately weaker, but it still can make you stronger than your base would have been without the buffs. I hope that all makes sense. But I get what you're saying, though. Yeah. I do. And I even agree to it to a degree.
So this is the only thing I'll say, too. It's like, we assume that Shanks is stronger than King Harold. Like, do we agree? Like, there's a strong possibility that he is?
It's a possibility, yeah.
All right, but why do you think that? Harold is bigger. Harold is most likely, stronger in every aspect, right? Because of his size, right? Well, when it comes to Haki, this is what gives Shanks the advantage in just winning. So the size doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter how fast he is, right? It doesn't matter about any of that. It's the fact that Shanks just can beat down on King Harold if he wanted to because the Haki is there. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to, it doesn't matter how big you are, it matters how big your Haki is. If that sounds crazy.
I get that.
Like, who can chuck Haki harder?
I mean, the end of this chapter told us anything. That's the answer. No, I can respect that.
But in order for Shanks to do something like that, he has to be in control of his own Haki in order to use it correctly.
Exactly.
Therefore, this is why, like, Rocks may be base form stronger, but to reach the highest of heights of his strength, it's just not possible because he's not in control. And I hope that makes a little bit more sense.
No, I think it
because
does.
I would feel the same way with Roger and Garp.
Yeah,
if they were taken over by Emu and weren't able to, if they were fighting Rocks and they were both Domi Reversi, I would still have the same aspect of thought with these two because I know that's not how Garp is capable of punching. And I know that's not what Roger was capable of doing, you know? Like, if Roger never used, Sebastian always says, name moves. Like, name moves grants you the ability to say, yo, this is one of my moves. This is me using my strongest move. This is what I got. This is what I'm outputting. This is what I know. Rocks hasn't said a name move.
I don't even think he can. I mean, he can, right?
Exactly. So therefore, whatever will he's pushing into that move is not being executed. He's just randomly swinging at this point. Now, I'm not trying to manipulate the conversation or confuse. I'm literally saying, like, this is how it makes sense to me when I'm told from other people during debates, this is when people use their strongest attacks and when they don't. So if this person's not using it, then I have to assume, granted, right, through that logic, Rocks is not capable of doing it either.
I'm just glad you're on my side of the name moves.
I'm not. I'm not.
For
I'm definitely not.
For once. It took a Rocks Domi Reversi, but we got Larry. Named attacks matter, y'all.
You don't have it, bro.
They matter.
On certain sense, yeah, to a degree, but it matters the situation and the context. Because again, what's stronger? Divine Departures that Roger did on Odin, or what the attack he did on Whitebeard when they clashed? Because that clash that he did on Whitebeard is clearly stronger than
He didn't say a name.
and his blade wasn't
Yeah.
even black either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and he didn't want to take out Odin because he wanted him to join his crew.
Listen, context has always mattered.
Exactly.
But